I want to give my insight into an old question that kind of comes up time and time again because everyone's situation is unique. A degree versus doing a boot camp. My answer is going to annoy a lot of people. I don't even know if it's helpful, but in my experience, it depends. Um, a lot of time when I apply to jobs, I actually don't even mention my education just because when I went to college, I majored in psychology, and I at this point in my career, I actually am um, pursuing a master's and MS in information systems, as well as an executive MBA at two separate universities. Um, but even those, I don't really think I put on my resume. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It really just depends on if it comes to mind. I focus more just on my deliverables. What have I accomplished? What can I accomplish? Stuff like that. But I also recognize that I operate in a different time, right? When you get deeper and deeper into your career, your education becomes more and more of an afterthought because you've already proven yourself. But I think if you're early on, right, for the people who are early on in their careers or trying to get these entry level jobs, it is a valid question, right? My situation is unique because it's not entry level work that I look for; it's more executive. So, having said that, just going off my own experiences, not for my employees. My employees just tend to also be VPs or people who are accomplished. Sometimes I'll see on their LinkedIn they mention having an MBA or something, but it doesn't even come up in our conversations, right? It's always just deliverables. What have you accomplished? Have you managed budgets in the tens or hundreds of millions? Have you, managed teams that were, maybe 100 plus? Stuff like that. Like those are really the kind of conversations we have. And I haven't done a podcast yet on executive interviews and how I conduct them, but these are the things we focus on. It's not really about education. Um, I think we do make sure that people at least have high school education or GED equivalent. I think that's a requirement a lot of companies. Um, but as you go up, education becomes less experience. So having said that, let me come back to the main point. College degree versus boot camp. It really, really, really depends. I will say this. What was I gonna say? I do see a value in a college degree over a boot camp. Um, Going to a boot camp might give you skills you need to do a particular job. So you might go to a boot camp to become, a project manager in 6 months, a product manager, a software engineer, data scientist. Um, but what I have seen with people who have a college degree is they tend to be a little bit more well-rounded. But forget about the education for a second. So forget about boot camp versus college education. Forget about the technical part. I like the non-technical part of what my degree, at least my education personally offered me. um, I went to a very diverse school, one of the most diverse schools in the US, right? The exposure to these different populations really helped me build my empathy skills. Working on group projects helped me learn how to deal with scheduling conflicts, how to uh, improve my communication skills, and also how to deal with conflict. Because when you're working on a group project, there is a lot of conflict, as well as disappointment and failure to deliver sometimes. Being forced to do research papers taught me how to conduct research. Um, I did a lot of research in college, volunteer research or internships. So, I learned how to look at data and build basic charts. That is also a skill that's valuable later in my career. Learning how to communicate professionally because I would get called out by professors for how I talk. Fresh out of high school, so I learned how to be a little bit more formal, right? More appropriate for professional communications. That's another skill that I gained. Um, Also, my presentation skills, my confidence, right? My posture, body language, hand motions, learning, when to slip in a joke, learning how to oscillate. So I'm not just staring at one person. Um, So when I say college degree, it's not just, oh, this person took a lot of computer science classes in different fields or different areas like discrete math and AI or something, versus boot camp, which is just one thing, or maybe it's not the same thing as a degree. I don't look at it that way, but when I see someone who went to college, I think about myself, my own experience, and all the soft skills, all the other things necessary for success that I picked up along the way. And if I see someone who, just went to a boot camp, and I say just went to a boot camp, without any college exposure. Sometimes people do go to college, they don't finish, they leave, then they get a boot camp, cert. I actually consider them maybe similar to someone with a college degree, because if they have that college experience and it was, a diverse school, and I can see from the coursework that they were probably doing, projects, or they were really putting in the work. That is something that I factor in. So at the end of the day, my preference is a college degree over a boot camp, but that's just because, again, my college experience. While I don't consider my degree to be the reason for my success, I mean, I majored in a social science, um, and I don't think you can say, yeah, this is how you become CXO. This is how you become a technical leader by majoring in social science. Um, but I do think that the skills outside of education, I do think the skills I picked up along the way, right? It's not the diploma that's responsible for success. It's the other skills that you pick up by attending college. Those are really what help you in the long run. Maybe not short term, but in the long run, they definitely help. Having said that, when I look at practicality or actual execution, I can say that I'm seeing a surprising amount of bootcamp people getting hired. It does depend, but I know some of the clients I worked with, they have a lot of software engineers who went to boot camps. I think one of them was like, actually, I don't want to name any particular boot camp. I don't want to make it sound like I'm endorsing them, but I do know it was sort of one of the big names. Um, I don't think boot camps are worth it though financially if you don't have the money. I think you're better off maybe attending college if you can, going to community college first, and then a four-year university, a state university. Maybe you might have to take out some loans, but if you can keep it under 10, 20, I think that would actually put you further ahead. It'll take time, but I've seen the price of some of these boot camps, and they're like 15, 20K plus. When I see that, I say, okay, yes, you can finish it under a year and enter the workforce, but I think delayed gratification. If you have the privilege of taking it slow, it would really behoove you and benefit you to pursue, a formal education. So with that said, I will try to end this. But the verdict is, college education. Um, in my experience, I think that's better, right? That's just my opinion. But in practicality, I am seeing it is pretty split, with a lot of bootcamp people entering the workforce.